Blessings and welcome to the Path to Freedom, this absolutely wonderful path where we get to set ourselves free to be in ever expanding love and joy and peace, where we get to set ourselves free to soar, where we get to set ourselves free to forever allow for greater and grander expressions of who and what we are, ultimately who and what this loving presence that is all there is, as it expresses itself in us and through every single one of us. And also where we get to set ourselves free from all of that which is no longer standing in service to who we are becoming, to that which is emerging from within us. My name is Daniel Roquillo, and I'm always, and equally so in this now moment, very grateful that you are choosing to tune in, that you're choosing to join me in this moment of expanding our consciousness and raising our vibration in such a beautiful way, so that we may be like the butterfly that has emerged out of the caterpillar's choice, instinctive choice to move into the chrysalis, the cocoon, and go through the metamorphosis. The topic for today is perfect preparation is always happening. Perfect preparation is always happening. And this has to do with the divine order that is all there is, how this loving presence that is all there is always expressing itself perfectly and magnificently and beautifully and powerfully, how divine and perfect action is always happening, divine and perfect activity is always happening, divine and perfect timing is always happening, how there are no coincidences, how there are no chance, there is no luck, there is only order happening. And as we are moving towards the intentions and visions that we are having, that we have caught for our lives, as we are moving along this beautiful path of freedom, beautiful preparation is always happening. And what that means is that we are always being prepared for that which is to come, for the next great and grand version of who we are. We're always being prepared to be that conduit, to be that channel, to be that instrument through which the next iteration of our lives may emerge. Everything emerges from within. The acorn allows for the emergence of the oak tree. The apple seed allows for the emergence of the apple tree. The lilac bush emerges out of the lilac seed. So as we are growing, as we are unfolding, as we are expanding, all of that is coming from within. And for us to be the conduit, for us to be the channel, for us to be the space through which the next iteration of who we are may emerge, we need to be expanding. We need to be ever growing. Just like the snake sheds its skin, as the snake grows, as it grows larger, it needs to shed its old skin because it doesn't fit anymore. It gets too tight. And so do we need to shed who we used to be. And everything that we need to learn, and this is something that I'm having lots of conversations with individuals that are questioning their ability to make it happen. Whatever it is. They may have a vision, they may have a dream, they may have an intention. And in setting out, in allowing for the emergence of this vision or intention and dream, they bump into fears and worries and doubts as to their ability. Am I going to be able to make it? Am I enough of this? Am I enough of that? And we always, and this is such a beautiful invitation for us to have a conversation around how we are not doing anything. We are not making it happen. But this loving presence that is omniscient, that is limitless, that is boundless, that is eternal, that knows exactly what needs to happen and how it needs to happen and when it needs to happen. It is that loving presence that is eternally sourcing and fueling and funding itself, that is eternally guiding and leading and moving itself into expansion, into progression, into allowing for the next great and grand version of who and what it is. And as it is all there is, it means that we and it are one. We and it are one, which in turn means that as it is eternally sourcing and fueling and funding itself, as it is eternally guiding and leading and moving itself, we are equally sourced, fueled, funded. We are equally guided and moved and led. So everything that we need to become to allow for the next stage of our own lives, to allow for the next great and grand version of who we are. Everything that we need to become, we will become it. We will be beautifully, experiences will come into our lives. Challenges will come into our lives. Conditions and circumstances will come into our lives, preparing us for that next stage. And this is so relevant for me right now as I'm moving through yet another space of expansion. And I was just thinking about this the other day, that all the things that have happened these last couple of years have so beautifully prepared me to step into the new that is now opening itself up. I have been called to grow. I have been called to expand. I've been called to learn things that I didn't know before. I've been called to challenge my own beliefs about who I am and what I am and what life is and what my life is to be about, and all of these beautiful things. And all of it has been a beautiful preparation, kind of like in school when we are, let's say that we are in 8th grade and we are moving through the curriculum, and and we either, by the end of 8th grade, we either have passed 8th grade and they're gonna bump us up to 9th grade, or we get to be held back because we haven't not learned what we needed to learn to graduate from 8th grade. And so it is with us, that there is a curriculum for our lives. There is every single intention and dream that we have, that we catch. It is a seed. It is a spiritual seed with a life of its own. And this loving presence, the one mind, the one intelligence, it knows exactly what needs to happen and how it needs to happen and when it needs to happen for that seed to come into its highest possibility or its highest potential. And it will make darn sure that we are prepared to facilitate the emergence of this seed. Just like all in nature, take an oak tree, for instance. So the oak tree emerges out of the acorn, and it begins as the acorn falls to the ground, and it eventually gets covered up by mud or soil or whatever, and it begins to shoot roots, and it begins to shoot shoots, and it continues. I mean, the process is probably more complicated than that, but for the purpose of this conversation, so the roots begin to grow, or they continue to grow, and the shoots begin to continue to grow. So there's a space of growth and expansion that happens within the acorn as the acorn begins to transform itself from being a seed into a tree or a plant. And eventually the acorn has become a tree, a full-grown tree. But there's a beautiful order in which everything happens. So the thick, mighty, magnificent branches, they do not emerge until the seed is ready, or actually until the young acorn is ready to hold, to bear the weight of these beautiful branches. So the tree in and of itself is being prepared always, year after year after year. The branches grow thicker and the stem grows mightier. So to be the conduit for the highest possibility for that particular tree. So or take an apple tree for maybe an easier example. So the apple tree, the apple seed, it begins to root and shoot, and it begins to become a young tree, but it does not bear fruit until the branches are strong enough to carry the fruit. So the tree is being prepared in a beautiful order. There's a beautiful pattern happening everywhere in all times. And we get to trust that. So as we are moving into endeavors, as we are saying yes to our dreams and our visions, we can absolutely trust that we will be beautifully prepared. That what we need to know, when we need to know it, we will know it. What we need to learn, when we need it, we will have learned it, or we will learn it. We are always beautifully prepared. There's a beautiful statement by this woman, Reverend Deborah Johnson, where she says that God does not call the prepared, but God prepares the called. So as we say yes, and an absolutely wonderful friend of mine, she once said that God will not ever put us at the deep end of a pool without making sure that we can swim. So we get to trust. We're not, as we've been talking about before, we are not trusting in our little selves. We're not trusting our own ability to make anything happen. That is misplaced trust. And that's where many of us get stuck, because we cannot foresee, and we cannot plan, we cannot figure out everything that we need to become in order for the next stage of our own unfoldment to emerge. But we can absolutely trust that this loving presence that is the truth and the essence of who and what we are, that is who we are, and we are it. There is no separation here. There's no division here. There's no diminishment. There is only oneness. There is only absolute unity. And this one mind, it knows what we need to become. So we get to absolutely trust that we are in every single moment being beautifully prepared so that we may graduate from this version of who and what we are to the next, so that we may allow for that which is seeking to emerge from within. We are like a beautiful garden where Spirit, being the cosmic gardener, is placing beautiful seeds, spiritual seeds. So we get to be the garden in which these seeds begin to thrive, and where they get to grow and expand. And everything that this garden needs, Spirit makes sure that it has it. Just like any professional gardener makes sure that all the plants or all the seeds that it is planting in a garden or a greenhouse or whatnot, that everything that these plants need, they will have it. They will have the right temperature. They will have the right amount of sunlight. They will have the right amount of water. They will have the right nutrition and all of that. The professional gardener knows all this and makes sure, to the best of their ability, that all needs are met where this garden is concerned. The difference between the cosmic gardener, that is this loving presence, Spirit, the universe, God, higher power, or whatever we want to call it, and an earthly gardener, is that the cosmic gardener, it knows all. Every single possibility already exists within the mind of this cosmic gardener. So there are no surprises to it. There is no chance where this cosmic gardener is concerned. There is no randomness where it is concerned. But it knows, and there is no such thing as time in the infinite mind. There is only now. So every single possibility exists, and they all exist simultaneously. So this loving presence knows that even before the seed was planted, the highest possibility for that particular seed was already done. It had already happened in this infinite mind. So we get to trust that perfect preparation is always happening. And yes, we may have preferences as to how far we should have come or what we should be knowing by now and all these things. But these are on us. They've got nothing to do with this loving presence. They have nothing to do with its time schedule. I mean, the apple tree, if we plant an apple seed in the ground, that apple seed, it's got its own perfect pattern, it's got its own perfect path, it's got its own perfect unfoldment, its own perfect preparation, and it doesn't care at all about our preferences as to when it should bear fruit, as to when it should have reached a certain height, or anything like that. There's another statement that comes to mind, that we in no way, shape, or form can improve the efficiency of this loving presence. Actually, that's not how the statement goes. I think the statement goes that we can in no way, shape, or form improve the efficiency of God, but it's all the same. It's all the same. So we get to trust that. We get to trust that we are being beautifully, magnificently, powerfully, and perfectly guided and moved and led every single step of the way, every single moment. Because there is no space, there is no place, there is no moment that we can ever be where we are not one with this loving presence. When we are not standing, living, moving, having our beingness in absolute oneness with this loving presence. So we are always, just like there's a curriculum in school, and it is the teacher's function to guide the students along that curriculum and provide what is needed for each and every single student. I know that that's not always what is happening in school, but that's the general idea of school. That each student is going to be provided with everything they need, so to stay on course for this curriculum. So God is not only the cosmic gardener, God is the master teacher that makes sure that we, every single one of us, you and me, in every single moment, have everything that we need to keep moving forward. That we are blessed with everything that we need, that we're missing nothing, we're lacking nothing ever, but everything that we need to keep moving forward, everything that we need to keep allowing for the next great and grand version of who we are, it is freely given, it is fully given in every single moment, because it is within. It is within. We're not adding anything onto ourselves, because we could not. As we already are all that we will ever be, everything that we need is already here. It's already within. So that is what we get to trust. And I cannot leave this conversation without just leaning into the three pillars of trust. That this loving presence, that it is all there is. It is fully present in every space and place, every being, every moment, every object. That it is eternally for itself, that it is benevolent, it is good, it is loving. It cannot ever be against itself. It cannot ever go against itself. It cannot ever compromise or contradict its own nature. It is always for itself. And the third pillar is that it is always expressing itself perfectly. So when we trust that, no matter what comes into our experience, no matter what conditions and circumstances we come face to face with, we can still trust. We can still lean into knowing and feeling that all is well, that something wonderful is happening, that everything is working for the highest good. So that's the invitation for us today, to trust. To trust that perfect timing is always happening, to trust that perfect action and activity is always happening, that we are perfectly and beautifully and magnificently prepared in every single moment, so to be able to graduate to the next moment. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, if what you have heard today, if you feel that this would benefit another individual, feel free to share this talk or this link or this video so that they may get on this ride as well. Until we meet again, I bless our days, and I bless our ways, absolutely knowing, feeling that all is well, that something wonderful is happening, that everything is working for our highest good. With much love, many blessings. Namaste.